I want to challenge you to raise the bar. Right now, as you look at your life, I want you to raise the bar on your finances. I want you to raise the bar on your relationships. I want you to raise the bar when it comes to your goals and your dreams. I want you to raise the bar when it comes to your business. I want you to raise the bar when it comes to your thinking. That's right. Why? Because so often, too many of us have gone through this thing called life, and we started off with such high expectations. We started off as young kids, and when people came up to us and said, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? We gave the biggest, greatest answer that came to our minds. I love when I get in front of kids and I ask them that question, what do you want to be? I mean, they say things that you're not even supposed to be able to come up with. I mean, you'll go up to little boys and they tell you, I want to become president. You'll talk to little girls and they say, I want to become a princess, or I want to be the first lady, or they tell you that I want to own multiple big businesses. I want to become a mogul, or I want to be a football player, a basketball player, or I want to fly internationally. They just tell you everything. And so in other words, they have these high expectations. They have raised the bar way beyond their little teeny statures. And then, unfortunately, for many of us, we go through this thing called life. And we begin to experience life, and we begin to experience the challenges, in which the first time that we feel alienated, we begin to feel the challenges. The first time that we're told that we cannot do something, we begin to feel alienated. The first time in which we experience something where maybe perhaps something didn't work out for us, or maybe perhaps we attempted and we tried out and we didn't quite make the team and things didn't work out for us. And so we continue and we get a little older. Then now the disappointments, they get a little larger. And so now we start going out and we apply for this job and we don't get the job. Or we've been working for this company 5, 10 years. And one day we walk in and they call us into the office and they say, listen, your services are no longer needed. Or maybe we've been in this relationship where we've been putting in the time and the effort, the energy, and we thought that things were okay. Sure, we've had our challenges, but we never thought that our significant other, our spouse, or our husband or our wife would say that they don't know if they want to stick it through, if they want to be in a relationship anymore. Or we have this decision that we decide to start this business and we're starting to put in the time and the effort and we're thinking it's looking promising. And then our business partners bail out on this. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves that we're not profitable and we find that we're defending our dream. And as we go through those experiences, as we go through those challenges, what begins to happen is we begin to lower the bar. Yeah. We start bringing it down, inch by inch. And so what happens now, we begin to lower our expectations. And every time we lower the bar, we begin to shrink our dreams. And every time we lower the bar, we begin to backtrack and we begin to settle. And so at one point we had this dream, this vision of actually writing a book. And now we've resorted to simply making entries in our journal. At one point we had this dream of actually starting and owning a business. And now we've resorted to just simply being somebody's employee who's working just hard enough not to get fired and is getting paid just enough in order not to quit. And so at one point we had these large, lofty dreams of becoming financially independent. And now we've resorted to living paycheck to paycheck and having excruciating and difficult debt and all kind of maxed out credit cards. And see, at one point we dreamed about traveling all around the world. And now we've resorted to just simply crossing the county line or just going outside of our city is good enough. And so what has happened is we've begun to lower the bar. And so what I'm challenging you to do right now is I want you to look at your life. I want you to think about the different areas in your life where maybe perhaps you've lowered the bar. You've reduced your level of expectations. You were once dreaming big and now you're dreaming small. You once had big dreams, things that were intimidating, things that would require effort for you to pursue. And now you find yourself simply settling. And now you've been operating within your comfort zone. And so I'm challenging you to raise the bar. And when I think about this, I remember being a teenager, and I would beg my mom if I could go spend the weekend over at my cousin's house, and she would, of course, drive me up there, and I would, of course, run up and say hi to my aunt. And then next thing you know, my cousin had all boys, and so all weekend long, we would just find things to do. And that was back in the day where kids actually spent time outside playing and having a good time. So we'd get on the bicycle, we'd ride around the neighborhood all day, we'd go to the basketball court, we'd go out in the front of the house and race each other and see who's fastest. And then we'd play this game in the backyard. And so here's what we would do. We'd take one of these broomsticks and we would find either an old broomstick, or we would just go ahead and twist off the actual broom part of the broomstick. And then what we would do is we'd have two of the guys hold the broomstick. And so they would be on one side and one on the other side. And we would start off by holding the broomstick real low to the ground. And so what we would do is now we would get in a single file line, and the object of the game was that you had to basically make it over the broomstick. So at the beginning, guess what? It was pretty easy. Why? Because the bar was real low. And so we tried to be all cute going over the bar. You just walk over, and it was so low at one point, you just step and walk right over it. And then they bring it up a little higher, and yeah, it required a little bit of a jump, but nothing too big. And then they bring up the bar just a little bit higher. And now you need to just, maybe just dig in a little bit deeper to get over, but it was still reasonable. And then every single time we cleared the bar, all of a sudden now the bar would come up higher. And then it would get to that point now where now you're starting to get a little intimidated. Now you need to take a couple of steps back. Now you're starting to second guess yourself. And then you'd back up, and then you dig deep, and you'd get to the bar, and you just jump over. And when you made it over, you were excited. You were giving each other high fives. And of course, it didn't stop there. The bar would go up again. And now it would get to that place where now it's a mind game. It's at that place where you're like, I don't know if I could clear that bar. And I remember it'd get to that certain level where you would back all the way up. You'd sprint all the way up to the bar, and then you'd chicken out at the last minute and say, wait a second, time out, do over, wait a second. I want to try that again, because you thought that the bar was at a certain level. But when you started running and approaching it, you said, wait a second, I don't think if I'm going to clear this thing. And so you would back up. You'd have to dig deep. You'd have to require something. You'd have to draw from a place in yourself that maybe you didn't draw from before in order to be able to make it through. And so you'd back all the way up. You'd psych yourself out. You'd run as fast as you can and try to leap and make it over. And when you did, you were so excited. But the object of the game was to see how high can we raise the bar, and who will be the last one, who will clear it at its highest point. The object of the game was to raise the bar. And yet and still, when we played the biggest game in our lives, the game called life, many of us have lost sight of what the real requirement is of the game. You see, here's what happened to many of us. Instead of raising the bar, what we've been doing now is we've reversed the order, and we began to lower the bar. And so we started off with these high expectations, and we were little kids, and people said, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you looking to do? Or when you first started thinking about the future, or when you first decided that you were going to go ahead and major in this particular major when you went to college, or you first decided you were going to actually start the business, or you first decided that you were going to go ahead and get married, or you first decided that you were going to go and pursue this first business opportunity. You raised the bar. And then some things began to happen. Some difficulties, some things that you didn't anticipate. And now every single time something has happened, what do we begin to do? We begin to lower the bar. And so we lower it when we get let go from the job. We lower it when somebody tells us no. We lower it when we find ourselves in a challenging situation. We lower it when somebody says that I don't believe in your dream. We lower it because somebody didn't approve our loan. We lower it because somebody said that they didn't believe in us. We lower it every single time. And next thing you know, the bar is so low that it doesn't require any effort. And we no longer have to dig deep. It no longer intimidates us. And so now we're showing up to a job in which we know that something inside of us is saying that there's got to be more. Now we've resorted to these simple conversations talking about what's happening on television or what's going on in the celebrity world. And so we've lowered it to a point in which we've just decided that we're just going to accept whatever life gives us. And we continue to lower it and lower it. And now, because of the fact that we're no longer digging deep, and now because of the fact that we're no longer trying to make it over the higher bar, there begins to have this thing called atrophy. What it means is that the muscles that we were using, the mental muscle that we were using, the physical muscle that we were using, the heart that we were using to be able to make it through the higher bar, they're starting to disintegrate. It's starting to become weak. And so you find people that at one point had big dreams. And if you talk to them now and you listen to them, you say, wow, this is what it's resorted to, huh? So you've lowered the bar. And so at one point you wanted to start the business, and now you've resorted to just accepting this as your paycheck. At one point you wanted to write the book, and so now you've given up. At one point you wanted to learn how to develop your voice and become a speaker. Now you've resorted to sitting in the back row and saying, oh, I always wanted to do that. And so at one point you said that, you're going to pursue your goals and your dreams. And now you're busy making excuses. You've just lowered the bar. And so the question is, where have you placed the bar right now in your life? Where is it? Is it still requiring you to have to dig deep? Is it still requiring you to have to back up? Is it still requiring you to have to psych yourself out? Does it intimidate you to have to think about the fact that you're going to have to clear this bar? Have you set some high goals, some high expectations for yourself? Because here's what I know. Nobody, absolutely nobody rises to low expectations. None of us exerted any energy to get over the bar when it was all the way down close to the floor. No, when we exerted energy, when we started to dig deep, was when it was up high. And so what I'm saying to you is, where is the bar in your life right now? Where is it? Where have you placed it? Where have you allowed life to force you to place it? And so this reminds me of a story that I've shared with some of you in the past. But I left out a part of the story that really just blew my mind. And so most of us at one point or another, maybe when you're back in grade school, and for me back in high school, I had a guy that, this guy was, my absolute best friend. This was my buddy. If we were not in class together, it was guaranteed that after school you would see us. We were on the football team together. We were on the wrestling team together. On the weekends, sometimes he'd come and stay over my house. I would stay over his house. He had older brothers and so forth. And so this was just my best friend. I'm sure at one point or another during your childhood that maybe perhaps you had one of those best friends. And so this was just the friend that I thought we were going to have a friendship forever. And of course, we're naive as kids. And so we don't necessarily know that life goes on. And so I remember we were graduating from high school, and my friend, unfortunately, he didn't necessarily make the decision to really plan out his future, exactly what it was he was going to do. And so, I left him behind, and I left and I went away to school at Florida State University. And I remember just periodically, every once in a while, he would just cross my mind. And I was just wondered, I ever wonder whatever happened to him. But it had been years where I hadn't seen him in years since I ran into a mutual friend. And it had to have been maybe about 12, 14 years later since the last time that I saw him, maybe between 10 to 14 years since I saw him. And what ended up happening was I was driving down one of these streets, and there was a convenience store, and I saw somebody leaning on the side of the convenience store. And it was one of those things I was just driving by, and I was like, man, it just, when I was looking through my peripheral vision, I said, wait a second, that person looked familiar. And so I said, I got to just turn around and just try to figure out who that is. When you've seen a face, but you're not quite sure who it is, you're just like, let me just take a second look. And so when I turn the car around and I'm pulling up, and there it is. It's my friend from high school. I mean, my best friend. But as I'm pulling up and I'm about to park the car, I mean, it is clear that this is not the same person that I remember. I mean, I can just look before I even make it up to him. I can just literally just look and tell that he's fallen on some hard times, and maybe perhaps he's homeless, or maybe perhaps, you know, he's on drugs. And I'm not quite sure. I'm just excited at the moment to see my friend. And so I park the car, I get out, and we go through this exchange, and it's one of those things. It's just really hard for me to explain. It was surreal, as they say. To see my best friend, this guy that in many ways I looked up to, this guy that I have all these memories with, and then to see him in the condition that he was in at that moment. And so it was obvious that he was out in the streets. And so I remember we had a little bit of an exchange. I mean, he was absolutely in shock. I mean, in shock to see me. And I remember at the end of our very brief conversation, clearly we didn't have that much to say. And I could tell he was in somewhat a little bit ashamed that I saw him in that condition. And it got to the point in our conversation where it was just a little bit awkward. And so we're just sort of saying goodbye. And I was at that point where I just felt like I needed to give him something. And so I remember reaching down in my pocket, and I didn't have any small change at the time. At the time, all I had was a couple of $100 bills. But I just felt like I needed to give him something. And so I handed him a $100 bill. And I won't forget this. I gave him the $100 bill, and he sort of just stopped for a moment. He looked at that $100 bill, and like the look on his face, he had this look of shock, and he just was like, man, thank you, Andy. Thank you. And I just remember I left, and I was just driving off, and I'm just sort of processing everything, because if you've ever been in one of those experiences, it's one of those things you really got to process, because this was like at one point my best friend, that we talked about all the things that we're going to be doing in the future, all our, you know, big dreams and all this stuff. And then to see him in that condition. Now, I always shared that story to share this point, but I never shared this second part of the story. And this is what I want to share with you. And I just want to show you how at some point life can get to the point in which it will beat you down so much that you will completely lower the bar. And so here I am. I'm still processing what happened with my friend, and I'm thinking about what happened. And then about 2 days later, I get a telephone call. And my phone rings, and I pick up the phone. I go, hello? And my mom picks up the phone. She said, hello, Enzi? I said, yeah, mom, what's going on? She said, Enzi, your friend Charlie, your friend Charles, he's over here by their house. I said, wait a second, mom. You're saying Charles came by your house? Yes, Charles is over here. Wait, mom, he's at your house. Yes, he's over here. So she doesn't understand why my reaction is like that, because she's just seeing that this is Andy's old friend from high school. But I'm thinking about the state and the condition that I saw him in about 2 days ago. And so I don't know what kind of state of mind he's in. I don't know if he could be, you know, dangerous, even though I've known him for eternity. He's never been but I don't know. So immediately I'm like, put him on the phone. Please put him on the phone. And so he gets on the phone. I say, hey, Charles, what's going on, man? How you doing? He said, good, man. You know, I was trying to figure out if maybe your mom still lived in the same place, and I decided to come by, man. I figured I said, well, whoa, man. You know, we listen, man, we haven't seen each other in a very, very long time, man. And I saw you the other day. I was happy to see you, but listen, man, you need to take my telephone number down. And if you need anything, you need to call me, but don't go and bother my mom. You know, don't, I don't want you doing that. Okay. You just need to call me. And so the reason why I'm saying this to him, because I don't know, and I'm a little concerned. If I'm not there, I don't know what's going on, and so I'd rather him just call me. And so I said, okay, well, listen, man, listen. Well, what do you need? What's going on? Were you swinging by? I mean, did you need to get my telephone number? What's going on? He's like, nah, man, actually, man, I appreciate you, giving me, the money the other day, man. It was so good seeing you, man. We were best friends, man. It was so good seeing you, man. And I appreciate you giving me that $100 the other day, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And I said, oh, okay, no problem, man. Hey, no problem. Well, what's going on? What can I do to help you? He said, man, I need some more money. I said, oh, okay. Well, listen, man, I'm going to get you money, but I need you, after I get you the money, I need you to go ahead and leave. And if you need anything, I'll give you my number and you call me. But okay, man, well, how much money do you need? And he said, man, I know you really helped me out the other day, man, but yeah, I do need some more money. I said, okay, all right. Well, how much money do you need? Tell me. He said, I don't know, man. I need like $10. When I heard him say that, I said, wait a second. Maybe I didn't hear him right. Maybe I didn't hear him right because I know I just gave this guy $100 the other day. So there's no way he's asking me for $10. That's all he's gonna ask for. And so I said, I'm sorry, man. I didn't hear. How much money do you need? He said, man, I know it's a lot to ask, man, but $10. You need $10. I said, oh, okay, man. Okay, hold on a second. Could you go ahead and pass the phone back to my mom? I said, hey, Mom, listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go and go ahead and get $10 out of your purse for me and just do me a favor. Just give him $10 and then just tell him that I'm going to give him a call, but have him leave the house. But go ahead and give him the $10. And she said, okay. I said, well, I'm going to stay on the phone. You give it to him and you tell him, okay. She gave him the $10. He was like, oh, thank you. I could hear him in the background. Oh, thank you so much. He said, oh, let me speak to Andy. I said, oh, there you go, man. He said, oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. No, hey, listen, man, no problem. Okay, if you need something, you call me. Here's my number. I gave him the number. And then I remember hanging up the phone and I said, whoa. I said, I can't believe that I gave this man $100 bill the other day. That he found a way to make it to my mom's house. And he gets me on the phone, who just gave him $100 less than 48 hours ago. And life has taken him through so much. And he's so lowered the bar in life that the most that he could even ask for, the most that he could even position himself to ask for, he didn't ask for the $100. He didn't ask for $75. No, he asked for $10. Why? Because he's lowered the bar. The bar now, he's practically placed it on the ground. And so he no longer has any other expectation of what it is that he could receive. He didn't think that, hey, I got $100 from this guy last time. Let me ask him for $500 this time. Or let me ask him for $200. Let me at least ask him for $100. No, he had lowered the bar so much that the most he could ask for was $10. And so here's what I'm asking you. Maybe perhaps when you're listening to that, you're saying, "Now that's crazy. How could he ask for $10? But what I'm asking you is, what are you asking from life right now? Where have you placed the bar? Yeah, at one point, maybe perhaps you had some big dreams, and maybe at one point you had the bar high above your head. At one point when you looked at the bar, it intimidated you. At one point when you looked at the bar, you thought about the fact that you're going to have to dig deep, that it was going to require some practice, that you thought that it was going to require some personal development. You thought it was going to require you talking to the right amount of people. You thought it was going to require you building up more resources, building up more capital. You thought it was going to require you to develop and work on your skills. You thought it was going to require you to start learning how to create a budget and start ripping up your credit card. You thought it was going to require you to wake up early and start going to the gym. And maybe something has happened in life. You've gone through some things things and you continue to lower the bar. And the question is, where is the bar right now? Where have you set it? Have you set it so low that you can't even ask for more than $10 from life? Have you set it so low that you're no longer trying to start the business? Have you set it so low that you've resorted to accepting the actual job that you know that you want? Have you set it so low that you decided that getting out of debt is not possible for you? Have you set it so low that you've decided that it's okay for you to keep surrounding yourself with these negative, toxic people that only want to gossip, that only want to actually try to bring you down and not want to add and expand to your dream? Have you set it so low that you've decided to bury your goals and your dreams? Have you set it so low that it requires no effort? Have you set it so low that you're operating within your comfort zone? And if that's you, here's what I want to challenge you to do right now. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to raise the bar. Look at your life right now. Look at it right now. And I want you to make the decision. And number one, I need you to identify where is the bar in your life. And if it's low, if life has somehow caused you to bring it down and lower your expectation and shrink your dreams and require you to be playing it small right now, I'm challenging you to, number one, know exactly where is the bar in your life. And now, once you've identified the fact that maybe perhaps you have lowered the bar, maybe you've identified the fact that maybe you did at one point want to start that business. You did at one point want to write that book. You did at one point want to get out of debt. You did at one point make the decision that you were going to pursue your goals and your dreams, and you realize that you've lowered the bar. The next thing that I want to challenge you to do is I want you to make the decision right now that you're going to raise the bar back to where you had it before. And actually, I want you to think about where it was before, and I want you to raise it beyond that, because there's something still in you. There's something that you can tap into. And maybe perhaps you thought that writing a book was a stretch, but you have no idea that you've got 4 or 5 bestsellers in you. You thought that just opening the doors to your business was going to be the bar. But what you didn't realize is that you're going to have not just one business, but multiple businesses with multiple streams of income. That maybe perhaps you thought that you could just be able to learn how to deal with your spouse again, but you didn't realize that you could raise the bar where there'll be happiness and love and respect and honor back in your marriage again. Maybe what you didn't realize is you were thinking that maybe the bar just needed to be at the point where you're going to just think about pursuing and doing this thing that you like casually and do it as a hobby. But maybe raising the expectation beyond that is to use that gift, that skill, talent that you have in order to have an actual living, in order to actually provide for your family, in order to reinvent for your life. So what I'm saying to you is raise the bar beyond your previous expectations, beyond what you thought was possible, beyond whatever was going on in your mind. And once you raise the bar, I'm challenging you to do is to change the way that you're showing up. And now start acting from that place that you know that you're going to have to be in order to meet those expectations. Because somebody once said that no one rises to low expectations. And so at some point, you've got to be willing to raise the bar. At some point, you've got to be willing to dig deep. At some point, you've got to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. At some point, you have to be willing to take some type of action. Yeah. At some point, you've got to be willing to raise the bar. And so I know sometimes life can get difficult. Yeah, there can be some challenges in there where you begin to doubt yourself and you start to think that you can't make this thing happen. And so instead of growing and stretching and trying to meet your expectations, what you do is you minimize your expectations to come and meet your doubts and come and meet your fears and come and meet your limitations. But no, that's not the way that the game is played. No. When we were in the backyard playing that game, we didn't go from the top and begin to lower the bar. No. We went from low and we raised the bar. And so what I'm challenging you to do right now is to raise the bar. This has been Andy Henriquez reminding you to always show up for your life. Because if you don't, ladies and gentlemen, no one else will.